Hello, my name is Trina Ganguly, and the date today is February 22nd, 2023. Today I'll be discussing the key characteristics and the modes of action for cancer, autoimmunity, and congenital and acquired immunodeficiencies. To begin with, cancer is a disease in which some of the body's cells grow uncontrollably and spread to other parts of the body. These cells are abnormal cells which divide without control and can invade any nearby tissues. Autoimmunity is the presence of antibodies which are made by B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes directed against normal components of a person's body. These components are called autoantigens or self-antigens and are typically consist of proteins or proteins complex to nucleic acids. The antibodies and T lymphocytes that recognize autoantigens are called autoantibodies and autoreactive T cells. And so autoimmune diseases happen when the body's natural defense system, which is the immune system, can't tell the difference between the body's own cells and foreign cells or foreign objects. And this causes the body to mistakenly attack the normal cells within the body. And lastly, congenital disease is from birth, while acquired diseases are a type of primary disease that develops after birth and continues throughout one's life. Congenital disease also continues throughout one's life, but those come usually at birth and not after. Cancer cells grow and divide at an abnormally rapid rate and are poorly differentiated and have abnormal membranes, cytoskeletal proteins, and morphology. The abnormality in cells can be progressive with a slow transition from normal cells to benign tumors to malignant tumors. In specific, there are 6 essential characteristics of cancer cells, and they are self-sufficiency and growth signals, which means the cancer cells will acquire an autonomous drive to proliferate, pathological mitosis by virtue of the activation of oncogenes such as RAS or MYC. The second characteristic is insensitivity to growth, which means inhibitory or anti-growth signals. So in this, cancer cells inactivate tumor suppressor genes such as RB that normally inhibit growth. Next is evasion of programmed cell death, which is apoptosis. Here, cancer cells suppress and inactivate genes and pathways that normally enable cells to die. Next is limitless replication potential. Here, cancer cells activate specific gene pathways that render them immortal even after generations of growth. Next is sustained angiogenesis. Here, cancer cells acquire the capacity to draw out their own supply of blood and blood vessels through tumor angiogenesis. And lastly, there is tissue invasion and metastasis. Here, cancer cells acquire the capacity to migrate to other organs, invade other tissues, and colonize these organs, resulting in their spread throughout the body. And in this image, we can observe the various characteristics and differences between the cancer cells and normal cells. We can see that the normal cells are dividing differently, their shapes are different, their nucleuses are different, and a lot of things are different from each other. Next, I'll be discussing autoimmune diseases. So, as mentioned earlier, autoimmune diseases happen when the body's natural defense system can't tell the difference between its own cells and foreign cells and objects, and this causes the body to mistakenly attack the normal cells within the body. Most autoimmune diseases cause inflammation that can affect many parts of the body. The parts of the body affected depend on which autoimmune disease the individual has, and the fundamental underlying mechanism of autoimmunity is effective elimination or control of self-reactive lymphocytes. And the most frequently cited mechanisms by which infections initiate autoimmune diseases are through molecular or epitope mimicry and endogenous antigen mobilization. Molecular epitope mimicry is a common cause of increased natural autoimmunity, but it is unclear how often it induces autoimmune diseases in humans. So further research is needed in that area. And so in this image, we can see the organs that the autoimmune diseases affect, what factors come into play with this kind of disease, such as lifestyle, environmental factors, and potential symptoms such as impaired vision, skin rash, myocarditis, and disease examples such as rheumatoid arthritis. Congenital refers to a condition or trait that exists at birth. Congenital conditions or traits may be hereditary or result from an action or exposure occurring during pregnancy or at birth, or they may be due to a combination of all these factors. And the difference between congenital and genetic is that congenital disorders are present from birth, while hereditary disorders are transmitted from parents to their children through the genes. Congenital infections are vertically transmitted from their mother to the fetus during pregnancy, birth, or breastfeeding, and include diseases such as toxoplasmosis, HIV, hepatitis B, amongst many others. In specific, this kind of disease occurs most often following reactivation of a latent maternal infection during pregnancy, resulting in viremia and or transplacental transmission of lymphocyte-associated viruses to the fetus. And viremia means that it is being transmission through within the blood. Next is acquired diseases. So acquired diseases are a type of primary disease that develops after birth and continues throughout one's life. It could also be a congenital disease passed down from the mother during childbirth. And so acquired diseases are the diseases that are not present throughout birth but are acquired or contracted during the lifespan of the individual. Most of these diseases are caused due to foreign agents such as pathogenic microbes. And so these types of diseases would be acquired through outside sources such as from water, contact with an infected person, airborne germs, and etc. And so acquired diseases can be further broken down into two categories, which are communicable or infectious diseases. And this means the diseases are caused by pathogens, infectious agents such as bacteria, viruses, fungi, and other relative agents. And these diseases can spread from a diseased person to a healthy person by the means of air, water, food, insects, physical contact, and other similar means. And examples of this could be tuberculosis, malaria, the flu. And the other category of acquired diseases is non-communicable or non-infectious diseases. And these diseases can't be spread through infected persons to a healthy person. An example of this could be scurvy. And so in this image on the left, we can see the pathophysiology of congenital diseases. And in the image on the right, we can see how acquired diseases are introduced into the cells of the body. And so in conclusion, depending on the type of the disease, the modes of actions, and their key characteristics, it will all be different. For instance, for cancer, the mode of action is through abnormal cells replicating rapidly. For autoimmunity, the mode of action would be a specific antigenic stimulus. Next, for congenital diseases, it would be from birth. However, the mode of action depends on the type of disease you have. And it is a similar situation for acquired diseases. However, for acquired diseases, the mode of action is usually through environmental factors, or from a source that's not internal or within your body. And here are my references that I used for my presentation today. Thank you.